What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Miltrick Media. I'm sitting down with UK artist Oscar Bryant. Oscar, how's it going? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Let's go.
Yeah, you're saying it's one a.m. in the morning right now.
Mate, it's 1 in the morning. It's 1:15 in the morning, but it's all right because I'm a late sleeper, so I'll be all right. I won't be falling asleep just yet.
Yeah, no, the same with me. I had a long day too. Before we move forward, it's not one question. Kent, I'm noticing on the monitor, like I look like it's a little bit of a delay. Is that normal? Like when I'm looking at me? Okay, cool. Just want to double check. Cause yeah, it looked like my mouth is like slower than the words. That's normal though, right? It won't be like that in playback. Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's the same with me as well. Mine's a delay in my video as well.
Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. So we'll
Yeah.
continue moving. It's 1 a.m. right now in the UK. You're being a trooper right now. I appreciate it. I see you got the
No
Hard
worries, man.
Days. You got the Hard Days Night album cover in the background. That's sick. That's my favorite Beatles record,
Y-
dude.
really? What a
That was
coincidence, man. No, it's a brilliant record, and it's actually an original. It's my grandma's.
oh wow.
Um, I found it in my granddad's shed, and then I was like, you know,
Dude, yeah, that was the
gotta keep
first
that.
record because like my parents were big Beatles fans and they were one of the first bands I ever heard of when I was little. And I was blown away by it. I was like 6 or 7, but that was the first record I heard of them, like Hard Day's Night, like because it was blue and gray and it looked sick. And I was like, wow, what is this? And they're all looking like they have the face, like they were making different faces. And I'm like, oh wow, like what is this? It's just like four people on this cover and look like kind of like the Brady Bunch style cover or something like that. I don't know, but it was just cool.
Yeah, it's so
That's sick. You
sick.
had
Yeah,
it.
and have you seen the film? Have you seen the Hard Day's
Yeah,
Night
yeah,
film?
yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was it's crazy how huge they were back then. But let's get into
Crazy,
your
man.
career and you as an artist. So you first started releasing music in 2020, and the first single you released is what's this? What is it in 2020? What's this? What is it all for? Was that the first single you released?
Yeah, what is it good for? Yeah.
What is it good for?
Yeah, it was that was my first release under my name, as my solo name, but I've been in bands since I was about 14. Um and then I thought when the whole COVID thing happened and everyone thought, everyone was just locked inside, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this under my own name and I'm going to record. And then it turns out that I picked up quite a pace, and now I've just released an album. So yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I started playing bands almost right around the same time. Like when I was 16, I formed my first band in high school, and it was like a lot of alternative rock we were doing. Like that was my favorite genre at the time, and that was me too. Like before I started releasing music now under my solo name, like which is Miltrick, it was all bands. It's cool how you branched out. Like yeah, the last couple of years really shifted a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did it as well. Like going solo. There's a lot of artists that really have come out of bands and then made to do solo because of the whole COVID thing. So now we've got like a load of solo artists now. But I mean, it's not a bad thing. But it's just all about networking now and getting back with people.
Yeah, 100%. So even when you released that debut single back in 2020, how long ago before the release did you write that song? Like, was that in your arsenal for years? Did you bang it out throughout the pandemic early on? Like, let's talk about that song and the story behind it.
Tell you what, that was a bit strange, that one, because I had loads of backlog of music that I'd written um, from about 2017, 2018. But then it was just one of those, like, I'm big into my producing as well. So I would just sat there, coming up with riffs, and then the words came, and it was almost instant. You know what I mean? Like it just dropped. So it was like, this seems right. Carried on working on it, and then it would just became that natural progression of being, this is going to be the first single. So yeah, it worked out quite well. So it's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, so that you produced that song, you self-produced that song.
Yeah, it was a very big learning curve because before that, I've worked with producers and things like that, and I was a bit nervous to put it out because of it being self-produced. I thought
Yeah.
people are really going to judge the production on it, but no one's really like been like, that's awful producing. So it worked out all right. Yeah.
What would you say? Let's compare and contrast. Like you've worked with producers and then now you've also produced your own music. What do you like better now after doing both?
I think they both have their own different. I mean, you have more freedom. I feel like, and you can build into your vulnerability a bit more when you're on your own. You know what I mean? You're not
Yeah.
scared to hold back. Whereas with a producer, sometimes you feel like, especially it's someone you've only just met, you don't have that deep kind of connection to be able to just open everything up. So using networking with other people and work with other producers is good because of how talented some of them are and how much they can bring a song out in the way you didn't imagine it, the first way round. But then again, like on my own, I've worked thinking, this is really, if it's heartfelt music, a really deep emotional story or whatever, something quite personal to me, I'll always produce it myself. But you never turn down the idea of working with producers because some of them are just absolutely amazing. So there's no really comparison.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I've produced songs on my own, but now I'm trying to get back out there and network as much as possible now that, you know, now everything's open again. Also, it's a new year and just all that. Like, I'm trying to network as much as possible again, like you were talking about. And I want to try and work with new producers, but yeah, there's pros and cons to both. There's great attributes to both, basically. Yeah, that's a great point. How long? Yeah,
Yeah, I
good.
feel like. Oh, sorry, man.
No, you're good. What were you saying? No, you're good.
I was gonna say, especially as well, like you need to make. I feel like you need to make a good relationship with the producer and use the same one. You know what I mean? For a long
Yeah.
time, if depending on the type of music that you're doing, but because they can really understand the sound that you want to go with as well. Like I've tried it, going with different producers each time, but it's like you're starting off from the first stage again because you're trying to explain and they're not understanding. So it's like, it's back and forth. But if it's someone that you've worked with for a long time, they know what you want the outcome to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like some records, like I noticed a lot of like pop and hip hop records, they have a lot of producers on the album sometimes. Sometimes it's executive produced by one or two, or sometimes there's a lot of producers. But rock and roll, I've noticed like some rock albums, it's usually just like one or two executive producers. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you look at like I said, especially with the Beatles, like we were saying before, um, they always had that one producer. I forgot his name. What's his name?
Oh, was it George Martin,
He'll
right?
come back.
Is it
Yeah,
George
yeah, yeah.
Martin?
George
Yeah,
Martin.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then Glyn Johns as well was like a mixing engineer, I think. But throughout their career, it was just those. I think. I mean, they had few ones that came on board, but it was mainly George Martin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that probably is reason helped the Beatles being so big.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. And like you were saying, building that relationship with the producer, that could really like just change the trajectory of the music. It could really take in a whole direction. Like as almost I've read a lot and like watched a lot of documentaries with either artists or bands. Like when they had that rapport with the producer, it's like they became an extra member of the band and it just took the
Definitely,
records to a
like
whole different place.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. George Martin was the fifth Beatle.
Yeah. So let's talk about even your most recent release, Bluebird. So Bluebirds is an album that just came out in 2022, correct? Or was it late 2021?
Yeah, no, yeah. 2022 is February, so not long ago, 2 months ago.
So did you self-produce that album?
Um, 9 songs. Yeah, one of
Yeah.
the songs with the producer. Yeah,
That's
so the
awesome.
rest of it was, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So did you produce and write it all from your hometown in the UK? Like where were you working when you were making this album? Was it at home or did you go to a studio?
So basically, I work alongside one of my good friends. He's also my bass player in my live band. But Harry, he's my co-writer as well. So we'll usually get together, and he's just kind of the catalyst with things. You know what I mean? So like, I'll have an idea, and it's just good to bounce off someone. So we already like we started off writing it. Just between houses, you know what I mean, going to each other's house, and then we started to link up, and then get into the studio. But it was a mix of recording in a rehearsal room sometimes, you know what I mean? Just miking up
Yeah.
amps in a rehearsal room, because I could just bring down my equipment, my mics and stuff like that, and would
Yeah.
record bits here and there. There was never one long studio session. It was always bits in different locations. But because I study in university as well, I do music. I study music at Salford, so we have studios there as well. So using those studios was a big help as well because it's free. Well,
Yeah.
technically, so
Yeah.
instead of forking out, we could just book that out and be like, let's smash this song out today and stuff like that. So it was just bits and bobs here and there.
Yeah, that was similar to my experience as well because I went to school for music industry and audio arts production at university in the States, and they had facilities on campus like their own studio, and I would try and be there whenever I can. Like I miss it because it was free, but I tried to
Yeah.
book overnights whenever I can, and I miss like that's where I started off writing on. That's where started writing like my first solo songs that I came out with like over the last couple of years. Like it's insane. I was the same thing with
Oh,
university
nice.
studios. Yeah, I miss it so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're currently
They are
independent,
massive.
right? You're currently an independent artist or you're assigned to a label?
Yeah, I'm currently independent. Yeah, I've worked between a few different promoters and things like that. But yeah, management and stuff like that is all my own decision. Yeah.
So that's sick. So you've done some work with promotion companies. You tried to reach out and work with promotional companies. What would you say advice to new independent artists if they want to work with promotion companies? How do you advise them on reaching out and getting started with working with promotional companies?
I think, well, from where I'm from the UK, from Manchester, there's a quite a close music scene. So for me, it was like you got to just get out there playing, and then just word of mouth. And personally, I just think don't be afraid to chat to anybody, because someone knows someone that knows someone. You know what I mean? So it's like always big yourself up, advertise yourself, even if it's just a stranger. Advertise yourself because you don't know who they are and you don't know. So and as well with the help of social media now, you can kind of look at people similar to your kind of level of success and then see who they're tagging in and things like that, following them, DMing them. Don't be shy to DM people, because it doesn't hurt to ask. And then because there's so much music out there as well, these promotion companies look everywhere, and there's so many bands and artists, so it's literally about just pestering. You know what I mean?
To
You
a
just got to
point, yeah.
pester.
To a
Yeah.
point, yeah. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, the networking, just being out there and playing as much as possible and trying to just meet new people. You never know who you may meet, who they may know. And yeah, that could really influence your career in a great positive way. That brings me that
100%.
brings that brings me to a point that I was thinking of recently, and even in general with artistry and in the industry, A&R, artist and repertoire. So back then, before social media, it was a lot of in-person stuff. Record labels had A&R, individuals go out to shows and meet the bands. And now, over the last few decades, it's changed. We're both independent artists currently. How do you think A&R has changed over the last 20, 30 years? Do you think now social media and live, like, do you think social media matters more than live performance and in person, or do you think it goes hand in hand?
It's a good question. I think nowadays you see a lot of these TikTok kind of influencers now becoming signed to labels and singing. You know what I mean? So I feel like I know it's horrible to say, but I feel like 80% of A&R now is through social media. I mean, there's some people that have never played one show are now getting signed to labels. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Mhm.
If you said that to someone 30 years ago, they'd be like, you would have having none of it. So
Yeah.
it's just the fact of like how much has changed. And yeah, like for my instance, what I said before, you got to play live, but I think that's just for that kind of live circuit. But I think for more the pop, the rap, that kind of stuff, very much social media and TikTok. Like a lot of it is TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's cool. Listen,
Mm.
I guess it's 2022. Like, whatever helps you get noticed, whatever helps elevate your career, that's what I've realized, which is fascinating. There is no one way to success anymore because of social media. Like, it could happen overnight. You could be grinding for years, but like anything could change tomorrow. It's insane if you just put yourself out there in person and in social
It
media.
is.
Would you
Yeah.
agree?
But then again, yeah, I definitely agree. And I think as well, the same instant is like there's so much more as well now. There's so much more competition now. Do you know what I mean? Because like back, obviously 30 years ago there were still bands and artists trying to make it, but you know there was always someone above because they were already starting to get seen. Whereas now everyone's at the same level, everyone's got social media, everyone's got access to everyone, so there's a lot more competition around. And it's just, even though it's really really easily accessible to reach these A&R people, it's probably harder because there's so many more people trying to do that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to find a way to cut through the clutter.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you produce your own music and you songwrite. So you're a songwriter, you produce your own music. We were talking about your journey with producing on your own. Now, like we were saying with cutting through the clutter, do you think that as a songwriter, it's important to at least learn the basics of producing and mixing so you could get a song started from scratch?
100%. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because if you, it doesn't have to be production to the quality of ready to release, but the fact that you can start the production on a song, you have a working demo there already. You know what I mean? You can send that then to these A&R people. You can put it on TikTok and make your own sound. Do you know what I mean? You can really push whatever you make. But if you are just in denial of learning, you just holding yourself back. Because anyone can learn nowadays. It's all on social media, like I say, it's all on YouTube. There's tutorials. You've got GarageBand, which is free. It's just the basic version of Logic. You've got so much access. So just go for it, because that you've got nothing to lose. And like I say, it's probably a lot more beneficial than people think.
Yeah, I started on GarageBand too. We gotta take a moment to shout out GarageBand. GarageBand's really the best. Is that what
It
you got
really
started
is,
on as
man.
well? Did you get started on GarageBand
Yeah,
as well when you first produced a song?
yeah, definitely. I started on GarageBand on like this really old, um, beat up Mac, like 2000 and like 10 Mac or something ridiculous like that. Um, and it was dead slow, and it was like a really old version of GarageBand, but it taught me like just keep grinding, just keep making the songs, and learn. You kind of figure things out, don't you? It's like a jigsaw. You figure things. Oh, that's how that works. That's how that works. And then you take it into the bigger picture, and you think, how can I develop? So GarageBand is just as good as any other for learning.
Yeah, I started
Definitely.
on GarageBand as well on a 2009 Mac using loops and trying to program. And yeah, it's not
Yeah,
about which program you use. Apple, like it doesn't matter if you use Reason or Pro Tools or Logic. It's all or GarageBand. It's all about how you use it. That's the best part, you know.
definitely,
So
definitely. I
we
think
were
it's really fun as well.
yeah, no, 100%. We were talking also a little bit before the show about starting our careers as musicians and artists and trying to wear numerous hats at once. We're our own record labels in a way starting out, you know? Record
Yeah,
labels
yeah, 100%.
record labels can be a huge help. They could elevate your career to the next level, but also the role of how do you think the roles of record labels have changed? Do you think that record labels are as important as they were in the past?
I don't think so. To be fair, I've always had this kind of theory on it, my own little interpretation, shall we say. Um, but back in the day, the only way you could make it was through a record label, because you couldn't afford to mass produce your own record. It was physically impossible. But now, record labels are kind of an old fashioned thing. I mean, that's me saying that's not in a record label, but I mean, it's the fact of they're kind of just big loans now. You've got just as good promoters, just as good marketers out there, that you just need to, if you have the money, you can pay them yourself. It's literally, I think, just a big loan. And, like you say, there's producers out there that work freelance. There's, all different people that the record label would pay for you to go with are out there now for everyone to access. But unfortunately, you need a lot of money, and that's where they come in. So,
Yeah, it can be very costly starting an independent music career. And you mentioned a great point, freelancing and working with freelancers. I've worked with freelancers on sites like Fiverr and Upwork. And another great site for
yeah,
freelancers is Shopify. Those are three great sites for freelancers. In those are three great sites for freelancers. And if you're a music producer and songwriter, you could use these freelance sites like Upwork, Fiverr, even Shopify to start your own store. There's more tools than ever before, which is great. You could use all these things to your advantage.
well, yeah, with Fiverr, my if you've seen the album cover for my release, it's me and Harry. We're walking across this restaurant in Manchester called Blue's Kitchen, and that's what the lettering was. And we needed the lettering to change, so I actually got a graphic designer off Fiverr, and he did re-lettered it to say Bluebirds. So yeah, I've used Fiverr as well. It's great. Like, you could not tell the difference on that. When I show people that record cover, they think that the place was actually called Bluebirds. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's what I mean. The quality of people that are on there is insane. Like, and it's cheap as well. You know what I mean, for the services you're asking for.
That's amazing. Yeah, for like 6 of my singles I released in 2021, I used them all for 6 of my singles in 2021. It was all from a graphic designer I found on Fiverr from the United Kingdom. And even like I got a couple of lyric videos done. Fiverr is a great site. Yeah, I've used Upwork too. But yeah, getting in contact, they have producers, they have mastering engineers. It's insane. They have
Yeah,
so many
it's
talented people on there.
crazy.
Yeah. So
Have you
moving on
heard of
from that,
Oh,
what you were
sorry.
saying?
Go
No,
on.
you're good. You're saying move.
No, it's with the delay. I'm like,
Yeah.
have you heard of e-mastering? I think it's called, where it's like it's a mastering company, um, but they actually have hired like they're all freelance, but the people that I've worked with really reputable artists. Like there's a master on there. You know, it's about £100 a track, but you're getting like people that have mastered for Dua Lipa, The Killers, The
Oh
XS.
wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like really big, famous masterers that will do your track. So it's then again, it's like usually labels will get that, but there's companies out there now getting those people so you can buy yourself. So
I haven't heard of that. I gotta check it out. I've heard of certain sites where they go by the algorithm, like with Lander, then the automated mastering, and people have done tests, and you hear a slight difference, but also like
yeah.
it gets it just as much. But I've never heard of e-mastering. Like, yeah, I gotta check it out because you
Sorry,
can get me
not
in
no.
contact.
Oh no, it's not called e-mastering. It's called Metropolis mastering. Metropolis, yeah,
Metropolis.
Metropolis,
I
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
That sounds sick. I gotta check it out. Yeah, because then, like you said,
yeah,
so that means you could get in contact with like major mastering engineers, names like that.
yeah. Like worked with like Post Malone, worked with Post Malone, Dua Lipa, like big names, man.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's insane. That is insane.
Yeah.
So, when you were releasing Bluebirds, trying to market on your own and get the record out, let's talk about how you budget as an independent artist. So, did you make a budget and treat it like a business expense when you were leading up to the release of Bluebirds? How'd you go about that?
Yeah, so what I usually do is like I'll put aside like a savings account or something like that, like a split bank account that I'll put a set amount in there, and then say I'll use this, and I mean my mother's an accountant, so she kind of helps me with things like
That's
that,
cool.
but she like trying to budget things, seeing what I can afford, and yeah, just going from there really. But it's really good to have it in a separate account, so you can really kind of separate it, because especially with your personal life you think, oh, I'll just take a bit out and then you skin, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you've got to really, but yeah, I'm not I'm not major on financing. Like I'm a bit rubbish with money, but um I just
It's
spend
all
it a
good.
lot. But yeah,
Yeah, it's all
but
good.
yeah, like, but I think we are all guilty of that. But yeah, I try and do as much as I can on budget, and when I get like a paycheck or whatever, I'll definitely put a percentage of that straight to my music account. So yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of that, yeah, yeah,
That's cool though. Yeah, and like you were saying, you set aside a little bit of a budget for the cover art, working with the freelancer who made it, and like adjusting even that. That was like a live picture from like inspiration, your hometown. That's great.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. I don't
authentic.
think I'm. I might go into that place and just say, "Do you realize that you're on an album cover?" Because
Yeah, why
what I mean.
not?
Like they might actually like promote it. You know what I mean? You never know.
Yeah, they may actually promote it. Why not? Let's talk about collaboration. So, what do you think about? So, actually, yeah, how important do you think collaborations are in the music industry?
Oh yeah, super important. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Definitely. Like you see a lot nowadays, like a lot of artists is always featured. It's like it, as well as making a track better, because obviously more brains is better than one,
yeah,
multiple brains, but also the fact of like fan bases crossing over. So like what I really thought was really cleverly done, and in all aspects, is with when Tame Impala collabed with Travis Scott, and like really crossing genres, like that is totally different, aren't they? Like Tame Impala's like psychedelic rock, and Travis Scott's like rap and hip hop. So I think that was really clever, and that is a great example of like you should just do it.
Yeah.
It's really beneficial, really really beneficial. For like say now Kevin Parker, Tame Impala, his audience now would probably go, and if they haven't heard of Travis Scott, will go and have a listen to Travis Scott. And same with Travis Scott, you know what I mean? Go and have a look at him. So it's not only musical, it's good for, it's also great for just like getting your name out there.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Getting your name out
Mm.
there, you may find a new audience and a new market for your music, and it kind of cross pollinates. Like then, like Travis Scott fans could become Tame Impala fans, etc. It could go back and forth. Yeah. You think it's
Yeah,
better
definitely.
for securing collaborations when you're making music, you're a songwriter? You think it's better to meet people in person or to connect via social media?
I think in person, because like you can do a lot via social media. Like there was a track that I released after. It was the one just before my album. It was called First, featuring a female singer called Holly HXY. But that was purely over social media. You know what I mean? Messaged over Instagram. I sent her the track. She sent me a raw files back. A vocal track, and I mixed it in, and that worked out really well. But I feel like songs could just push that more connection. You can hear it in the music. If someone's in the
Yeah.
same room, you get that energy, and it gets portrayed into the record. But I feel like energy is sometimes missed over social media.
Mhm.
Maybe that's like a bit of a controversial statement, but I feel like it's benefits in both ways. Social media is great because you can do it with, like, say for example, if you wanted to be on one of my tracks or I wanted to be on one of yours,
Yeah.
we can do that over social media. Like that would never be able to happen. You live on the other side of the world.
Yeah, even though
Um,
we're in two different continents, yeah, it could happen via social media, which is great. It opens up the door. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. So yeah, you
yeah,
are from the
yeah,
UK. I
I
was gonna
am.
say,
Yeah,
so
if
you're
you
from
can't tell from my
Manchester.
accent.
So what was it like growing up in Manchester? So how has that influenced your music? What was the music scene like out there?
I think the music scene. I'm being biased, but I think the music scene in Manchester is like one of the best because there's so much,
Yeah.
so many live venues. Small venues, big venues, and obviously got quite a few famous artists that come out of Manchester as well. I think Scott on the last podcast was saying about Oasis and the Smiths,
Yeah.
um, and the 1975 as well.
Yeah.
Um, all from Manchester. So it's got this kind of repertoire of having like really good um, musical upbringing, and yeah, it's had amazing impact on my music. I feel like everyone's a big music fan where I live. Like there's not somebody you bump into that don't like music. You know what I mean? You'll always bump into someone, get chatting about music, go to a pub, go to a bar, and there'll be debates about music and people are drunkenly singing. You know what I mean? It's just part of the culture. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
it's had a big impact. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say the genre of your music is, especially your most recent record, Bluebird? Would you say that what would you say the genre of your music is?
Well, I'd say like classic rock inspired, like 70s rock inspired, with like a bit of folk rock. But I don't I don't actually know myself, to be honest. Um, it's one of those. It was a lot of influences on it that I feel like I've took into consideration, and there's quite a lot of difference. Like ELO, so Electric Light Orchestra, David Bowie, um, and then I listened very heavily to All Things Must Pass. The album by George Harrison, solo
Yeah.
record, and that's quite folky. It's like folk rock. So yeah, I'd say like classic rock, but with a bit of like balladesque orchestration because it's got quite like it's got strings on it and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, probably say rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
classic
I've
rock.
even from listening to the record, like, yeah, like I feel there's a big rock influence on there, which is pretty cool. Yeah. It reminded me of like 70s kind of like pop inspired rock and roll from that era. Yeah, it was cool. And it's cool the
Yeah,
influences you
cheers,
mentioned.
man.
I didn't even expect that, like ELO, David Bowie. Yeah, that's a cool wide array of influences from that era.
Yeah, definitely. I think like it's really funny because when people just say to me like, describe what genre you are, I'm like, I don't know, mate. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know how to explain it.
I know, yeah,
Just
and
rock.
I
Yeah.
feel like, especially when we're making music, if you release music, you're kinda sometimes forced to answer that question and come up with it. You need to come up with a niche in order to promote and market if you wanna do advertisements or if you wanna just make content, right? Do you ever feel that pressure where it's like, oh, like, you wanna create in a certain niche or style so you can maybe then market more effectively? Do you ever feel that pressure?
So yeah, totally. And do you feel that pressure as well? Like when you're making
Yeah,
your music, because
I
it's like
do.
you don't want to you don't want to pigeonhole yourself to be like
Yeah,
this is what I am, and you don't want to like go into making a song being like this has to be this genre, it has to sound like this genre.
yeah,
But like in a perspective of marketing, like it's really hard when you're trying to get that target audience, for your ads, and it's like for fans of, when you label a few artists or
exactly.
whatever. And it's like, I don't know, it's so hard, but you've got to do it because you can't just say, I have no genre. So, yeah,
Exactly, yeah. Like what you
very
just
difficult.
described Bluebirds was and what your style would be, then you wouldn't market to, let's say, jazz fans or,
Yeah.
like 90s hip hop fans. So it's like even though we're not necessarily a business, we are like a business if we wanna be releasing music no matter what. So that's what's always
So,
fascinated me too. Like we have to do the groundwork on our own at first. Would you agree with that too? Like even though we're just starting out, we're
oh,
independent.
yeah.
We gotta even
Oh,
before we
yeah,
maybe get with a
definitely.
label. Yeah, before we even get with a label, we have to kind of build our ground up on their own, like build our own audience, get popping on our own.
Y-
You know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like someone said this quote to me, and I can't remember who it was, but he said, I think it was a marketer actually. They said, people won't invest in you because you're essentially the product. If you look at yourself as a business, people won't invest in you they won't invest in your music if they're not invested in you. So it's like you're the business and your music's your product. Like say for example, I don't know, put it into a perspective of like you're going to go to McDonald's first before you go to an independent fast food because it's McDonald's. You know what I mean? You've got to
Yeah.
make a good
Yeah.
name for yourself and then people will listen to you. So people have that stigma as well. Like a lot of people don't go into listening to new independent artists because they don't know them. You know what I mean? So like you say,
I know what you
yeah,
mean.
you've got to really put yourself out there before your music in a way, really. But that's hard. It's really difficult.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you on some points with that. You have to build a name for yourself first because people like what they like. They listen to what they listen to. And even with the McDonald's example, yeah, the brand loyalty, you know that more than, let's say, something not as well known, something independent. So you go with what you know sometimes. You're not always actively
Yeah,
searching.
I think it's human nature for us to do that. It's what you're comfortable with. So you're used to something. It's we don't like the fear of the unknown sometimes. So it's like go for something you're used to because you know it. So
Yeah,
that's what I think
100%.
anyway.
So when you were making this album, Bluebirds, what was the favorite memory you have of making this record? Your
Oh,
favorite
that's a good
memory.
question.
Your favorite memory from the album process.
Oh wow. Let me
You
have
can
a
take your
think.
time. Yeah, no worries. You can take your time.
uh, um, to be fair, it was when it was summer, when we were writing, and I remember being and I
Yeah.
feel like I wanted the album to portray that, and that's the most thing. That's the most significant thing I can remember is just the nice weather, and then when we're in the room and the excitement of hearing something coming together and being like, "This is it, man! This is like this. This sounds professional. It sounds done." And yeah, that. I mean, it's probably a lot more, but my brain just isn't. I'll probably say it dead later on about, and you know what I mean. But I just can't remember. No, that's
Nah, it's
about
all
it,
good.
man. I don't know. I don't know.
What's your favorite part about songwriting?
Definitely. So, what do you mean in terms of like lyrical first and then music first, or like the out of the whole process?
Out of the whole process, like, is it therapeutic for you when you're writing a song and when you finish it? Just in general, what's your favorite part about the whole process, if you have one?
I think the favorite part for me is I always remember this part of when I write a song is I'll be sat wherever, in my room or somewhere like that, just in my house. And just, and you probably have it yourself as well when you just, noodling about whatever, and then the idea comes to you and something just drops and then it just happens. It's a natural. And so I think for me, it's initially getting that idea and writing those lyrics down and getting that melody, because the production's fun in itself, but it gets a bit tiresome sometimes when you've heard the same song about over 100 times. But it's the first time you hear it. I think that is my favorite part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
Mm.
I've gotten tired of my own demos because I'm trying to listen to them too much and tweak certain details that probably didn't even need any changing to begin with. And you get in your own
Yeah,
head
definitely. And then you start
sometimes.
to hate it, don't you?
You start to hate it. Yeah, 100%. That's happened to
Mm,
me. That's happened to me. With
mm.
Bluebirds, with Bluebirds this most recent record, do you have an all-time favorite song? Which song was the most fun to make for you?
Oh yeah. I think personally the most fun to make was Silver Screen. It's the last one. It's quite a slow one. It's quite progressive, um, but it was just the whole, because it's got quite a complex moving chord progression. A lot of my other songs are quite fun, quite simple, just 4 bars, 4 chords, that kind of thing, and then just. But that is my favorite Silver Screen. It's just because of when I was playing the piano and it was blah, 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 and then it just all made sense, and then putting it all together, and the whole sound design. We've got like a big bit of sound design at the end if you've listened to that tune. Um, of like weird sounds that we were like, me and Harry were just messing around with, like getting weird amp sounds, and
Yeah, yeah.
and just adding all this clutter into it and just making it something excusable as music. But I think that is my favorite because it's so progressive and it has a lot of movement.
Yeah. No, that was a cool
Mm.
dynamic added, like all those extra sounds. Yeah, it brought a new character to it. That
Yeah,
was
definitely. And
cool.
I think as well, like I'm dead excited to play that live. I've got my album launch show on the 8th of May. That's in Manchester. I've got that. And I can't wait to play that tune live as well. So that'd be really good.
So let's talk about that. What live shows do you have coming up?
So I have this launch show, which is like in a month, isn't it now? Yeah. Um, that I prepared so much for that because we've put it on ourselves. You know what I mean? We've rented the venue. We've had to like basically, instead of me being just an artist, I've got like events manage everything, and it's really made me take my hat off to people that run events because it's bloody difficult. But yes, we've got that show, and then we've got a few festivals lined up. I can't say yet, but we do have a few. Um, but I did one last year that was called Soulfest. That was in North Cumbria, but that was really cool. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, apart from that show and a few other festivals, I'm kind of still like looking. I'm looking to get on a bit of a promotion side, um, to do with like support slots and things. But I need to network a bit more, because it's summer coming up and a lot of gigs happen in summer. So I think I need to pull my finger out a bit and get some more gigs lined up.
Yeah,
But
get
yeah,
more.
so I wish I had more to say, but I actually don't have that many apart from that one.
No, it's all good. Have you ever played a show in the United States? Do you have any planned?
No, I really want to though. I was looking at trying to get in, South by Southwest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It just happened, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
happens in March usually.
yeah, yeah,
You gotta try and play in New
yeah.
York too, man. New York City, or
Yeah.
even in
I need
LA.
to. I really need to. Mate, New York, LA, and all that just got such famous, like musical.
Yeah.
They're just so famous for musical places, and I'd love to, but I'd need to get a fan base out there. Like, I couldn't afford to do it with no fan base. But
Nah,
yeah,
I know
breaking
what you
America's
mean.
hard if you're from the UK.
Nah, I know what you mean. But in general, what are
Mm.
your biggest musical influences? Who are your favorite artists?
Probably George Harrison. I just love his solo stuff. Something about it just is amazing. And I recently as well, I've got into like the Monkeys. Have you heard of the
Yeah,
Monkeys?
yeah, yeah. Tommy
Yeah,
James, right?
I mean,
Well, he was in the
yeah,
singer, yeah,
yeah,
because he had the Tommy James and the Shondells, the side group, but he was the singer of the Monkees, right?
yeah. And I got
Is
into
that?
them and like
Oh, oh, sorry. Continue.
and
Yeah,
I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, and I love David Bowie as well. David Bowie is like number one, man.
so, for instance, David Bowie and George Harrison, those two, why are they your favorite artists?
I think because the proper classic songwriting, it was classed as pop music, but the way Bowie evolves his songs, he's telling a story and it takes you on like this kind of path. Um, there's a lot of artists that they make the songs for the radio, the pop songs, but you listen to it about 10 times and then you know it off by heart. But I feel like with these artists you can listen to these songs 50 to 100 times and you can hear something brand new every time you listen to it. There's something there that you've not noticed before, and I think that is really interesting. And hats off to them, because that must be very, very difficult to implicate into a song. Like, I think it's just so interesting the way that they can take you on a journey.
Yeah, how they take you on a journey.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a great point. What's next for Oscar Bryant, the artist? What else do you want to promote and let the audience know?
Well, so I've got this gig, but I mean, if you're watching from America, I don't think you'll be able to make it. But I've
It's all
got this
good.
gig. I've got hopefully one day, man.
Yeah, they can follow you
Um,
on social media. You'll let us know in a minute what your other socials are. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then I've got a new single that I've just finished already after finishing the album. I think we're going to drop that in a few weeks, maybe. I don't have a
Sick.
date
That's
yet, which is
sick.
annoying. But yeah, I just want to get more music out there, get the more gigs in. Because after this next single, then I want to do like a B side to that single, and then I
Yeah.
maybe drop an EP. We've just got so much content. We've got about 100 songs that I'm sat on, so it's like I'm just trying to like keep that progression going while it's there. You know what I mean? Keep the ball rolling. I mean, nowadays I don't think there's ever too much to release. I feel like I could just release 1,000 songs, and I don't know. But yeah, just pushing more music, man, and just networking with people, getting the gigs in, and yeah, doing things like this, man.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's like why not release as many songs as you can? You have fun and then see where it goes. You never know where it may go. You kind of
Yeah,
get
it's
to
just at the
experiment
end of
with
the day,
that.
it's all a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's all fun, and you're
Yeah,
you're independent. You have control of your career. You could do whatever you'd like in terms of releasing as much music as possible.
100%, man, 100%.
What let them know, let everyone know where can we find you on social media? Where can we follow you?
So on Instagram is at Oscar Bryant Music. Same for Facebook. I'm trying to market myself on TikTok a bit more. So if you want to follow me
Okay.
on TikTok, it's Oscar Bryant Music as well. That's just hard, man. TikTok is difficult. I mean, it's good for progression, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
just hard to think of something to do on that. Yeah. So Instagram, Facebook, uh, TikTok, and Twitter as well. Oscar Bryant HQ. But yeah, that's everything really, man. Oh, and YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel as well. I'm trying to drop. I'm dropping a mini documentary in a few weeks that I forgot about.
That'd be
Just
awesome.
the
Like
whole
behind the
process of.
scenes.
Yeah, man. So I have a videographer, and a cool team around me, and they managed to basically record me while me and like everyone that I work with alongside with this album, and put it into like a documentary. So I'm going to be releasing that, and hopefully get looking at releasing it on Amazon Prime as well. So
That's amazing. Yeah,
that should
that's
be
great.
cool.
Doing a behind the scenes documentary, doing a behind the scenes
Yeah.
documentary, that's a great way to promote the album release.
Honestly, mate, it's really nice to see that as well, because it's something things you see yourself in third person, don't you? So I think people would really like to. I think it's quite interesting to see yourself doing it, but also for other people just seeing the progression of you can listen to that song and you can see how that song was made.
Yeah, 100%. Any last thing you'd like to share with the audience? Any last details about
That's
you and your
about it, man.
career?
Stream the record, enjoy yourselves, and yeah, hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Oscar, thank you for coming on another episode of Miltrick Media. It was cool to sit down and learn about your journey as an artist and especially the new record Bluebirds. Guys, if you're listening, go check out his newest record on Spotify. It's just Oscar Bryant, right? On all streaming platforms. That's the artist name, correct?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
just want
like
to
you
say thank
said,
you for having me on as well.
oh, of course. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. Yeah. It's really cool to talk with artists from the UK. Like I said, I want to get out there ASAP. I've like, I love learning about the UK. I love the UK. I just want to get to Europe. But yeah, nah, it was cool to have you on.
Yeah, and yeah,
Check
but
them out.
you'll
Social
have to
stuff.
you'll have to send me your music as well because I want to check your music out as well. So
Yeah, 100%. I got you. Guys, make sure to follow him on all
mm,
social media platforms, Oscar Bryant Music. And Oscar, thank you again for coming on the show. And for everyone listening and
thank
watching,
you
thank you
so
so
much.
much. And yes, we will see you
Take care.
soon.
Cheers, man.